before you jump into a project, on average, you're looking at 300 to 400.
I think it's when you stay in the business when times are tough, you expand the network, expand the deal flow. It's a tough game. The odds are heavily against you. I mean, if you look at the people involved, they tend to make their deals work regardless of that risk. They keep going until that company is ultimately successful.
What I love to do is introduce the right people to the right people.
I assemble the smartest people I can think of or reach out to carry that conversation, and that's exactly what I've done today.
Please give my panel a round of applause. Welcome.
My next guest is Marcel de Groot, founder of Pathway Capital. Now, when I talk about the smart money and following the smart money in this business, I'm talking about people like Marcel. Not a lot of people know him. He's quiet. He stays under the radar and assembles some of the top tier deals in the precious metals business. Companies like Sandstorm Gold, Royalties, Equinox Gold. Marcel was there first. He's always working on new deals. So whenever he's putting something together, I want to make sure I'm there on the first day. Enjoy. Okay, guys, Jay Martin here, CEO of Cambridge House, and we are continuing to search for our next gold investment. And I'm really excited to sit down with the president and co-founder of Pathway Capital, Marcel de Groot. Marcel, how you doing?
Very good. Thanks to be here. Thanks, Jay.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to have you on because you're somebody in the space that I pay a lot of attention to. And you know, anybody who watches this show, reads my newsletter, they know my brand is all about people first investing. I don't take a ton of risk. That's how I think about, even though my portfolio is super speculative, because I just identify a small group of people and I follow them around the market, whether they're the entrepreneurs, the management teams, the investors on the money side. You know, through Pathway Capital, yourself and your business partner, Dave DeWitt, I'm always up to speed on the deals that you guys are working on. I'm a shareholder of, I think, everything in the portfolio right now at Pathway, and I feel very comfortable in those positions. And so I wanted to introduce you to my audience because, you know, I'm really lucky that I get to meet people like you, Marcel, and get to stay in the know about what you're up to. And I like to share that with my audience when I can. So for anybody who's not familiar with Pathway Capital or with yourself, let's just start. Give us the 20-second elevator pitch, Marcel. How do you stay busy? What do you work on?
Well, basically, Pathway collaborates with mining entrepreneurs who've had repeated success, so we launch new ventures. And so what we do is we work with those individuals and teams to create success, helping out any way we can. And because ultimately it takes a team to be successful. So we try and put all the pieces together necessary to give the company the best chance, best risk reward probability.
Got it. Yeah. Now, and you focus on the mining sector, and you have for,
yeah, that's right.
As long
it's
as
been over 20 years now. Yeah.
Over 20 years. Yeah. Fantastic. Okay. So what are you seeing today in the market, Marcel? Because I think anybody watching this, you know, most of my viewers are pretty smart cookies when it comes to the precious metal space. They've got a lot of exposure and experience. Not everybody does, though. We've got a lot of viewers that came in on the back of, you know, I cover the health science industry as well and some other sectors. And so we attract some viewers that way. So for people who aren't familiar, you know, what's the high level overview of the gold market today, and where does your sentiment land?
Well, I think that we're in a very strong gold market. I think we're probably, you know, they always refer to it in terms of innings, third, fourth, fifth inning, somewhere in there. I think we've got some time to go. What's happening is at a macro level is governments are racking up tremendous amounts of debt, and the economies were in a pretty fragile state. Suddenly COVID comes along, that ratchets up even more spending, more debt at all levels, from corporate to municipality to individuals and companies and federal governments as well. And what that means in the end is as more money gets printed, increases the money supply. It's good for assets that you can't print. And so we're long-term gold players, and it's a good time to be a gold investor as a result of the macro factors.
And are you looking at any other commodities? I agree with everything you said regarding the gold market. What's your take on the silver space? Are you looking for opportunities right now in the silver sector, Marcel?
Yeah, I'd say gold and silver are synonymous. I mean, silver is going to have more volatility, but in the end, silver valuations can trade at higher multiples. So we're looking for strong opportunities in gold or silver. There tends to be more opportunities in gold space, and silver tends to be more of a byproduct. But but definitely, if there's a good silver asset that comes along, we're pretty keen.
And expanding beyond that, there's been a big surge. Well, I've seen a surge in interest in the copper market, in the nickel market, on the back of some increased interest in electric vehicles and renewable energy. Do you broaden your scope that direction as well?
Yeah, no, we've always been invested in the copper space. We think there's a lot of opportunity in copper. I spent 15 years working with David Lowell in putting together Solaris resources, and Entree is another company that we're large investors in. Copper is it's a big market. It has its ups and downs, but ultimately, when you look at the long-term profile for copper, I think that the supply side is not growing as quickly as the demand side. So I think it looks very attractive.
Yeah, and it really does look that simple in the copper market, isn't it? I think the average today, and I could be wrong, the average lifespan or lifetime of a copper mine is like 25 years. There haven't been a lot of new mines coming online in the last few years. They're quite aged as a general industry. Okay, now, you touched on Solaris.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to make the point that copper is a bigger business. I mean, if you look at the gold space, people can turn on a 50,000, 70, 100,000 ounce mines, much smaller projects. In copper, what you end up with is much larger projects, and so you need a strong cycle in order to finance it. Because as you said, they tend to be much bigger projects, much longer lifespans. But the advantage, though, for the copper investor is that it's harder. It takes more time to turn on new copper projects because of those long lead item factors,
right,
permitting and things. So.
Right. Okay. Now you touched on Solaris and you touched on Entree. I opened this up by saying I pay attention to all the deals that you do and try to follow you into as many as I can. It serves me well. I want to touch on some of your historic deals, Marcel. So sticking with the gold market, let's go back as far as you want, but what kind of deals come to mind to give our viewers an example of the things that you've worked on in the past?
Well, I mean, for us, it's always been about people. One example would be Sandstorm Gold. A couple of talented mining individuals were looking to start up a new opportunity, and we were able to, business partner I, David DeWitt, were able to collaborate with the founders of Sandstorm, being Nolan Watson and David Oram, who then basically, again, on the people principle that you outlined earlier, were able to go and successfully build a very successful company. And they've been at it for 11, 12 years now, and have 200 royalties and lots of cash flow. And it's been a lot has been learned during that time.
And you've been involved. I mean, you're involved pretty much on the ground floor, right, with Sandstorm Gold?
Yeah, it was a company. It was a CPC that Dave DeWitt and myself had, and we're always looking for people who are successful, who want to grow a company, and David and Nolan wanted to start up their own company, and that eventually evolved into Sandstorm Royalties.
Got it. Okay. Now, another company that's sort of the darling of the market right now, or one of them, is Equinox Gold. I know you were very, very involved from early stages with that company as well. Could you walk my viewers through the origination of that company, Marcel, and how you guys were involved?
Yeah, sure. We'd had a couple of companies. One was Lowell Copper, where we were looking at. We had a great project, but we were stuck in Ecuador socially, and so we thought, well, look, let's expand the company from here. We'd just done some business with Marin Katusa, where we'd taken a public company with cash and rolled it into Northern Dynasty, which worked out well for investors from that time, and also were involved with Anthem United, which was Greg Smith. We ended up rolling those companies together, doing a large financing. Marin Katusa did an amazing job on that, raising a lot of money, and Greg Smith became the CEO, and Greg, again, on the people principle. Greg was someone that we'd worked with previously. We were involved in Esperanza Resources, which was bought by Alamos, and before that, Greg was the CFO of Mine Finders, which sold to Pan American. Greg's a very smart, talented individual, and we decided, hey, let's grow a company. And the next step was acquiring Luna Gold. The company became Trek Mining, acquired, with that, Christian Blau became CEO. Again, a very talented individual, very talented team, a deep team. A couple seasoned guys who agreed to take CEO and president roles, Christian and Greg, agreeing that hey, just titles don't matter, let's grow a company here. And then, of course, more acquisitions happened. In December 2017, Newcastle and Anfield were acquired, and then Ross Beatty became chairman, and which was a really fortunate circumstance, and Ross has really taken it to the next level from there. So again, it started with high quality people, and that just continued to grow the base, and it's now become a $4 or $5 billion company.
And yeah, it's the story of like, it's good people, great people find other great people, Ross Beatty, Greg Smith, Marion Katusa, yourself, Christian, the whole crew is a team of winners from the space, right? With a proven track record of success, and success begets success in this industry, opens up your network, decreases your cost of capital, all the right things. Yeah. So, obviously the question that my viewers are going to ask next is what's next, Marcel? We're all familiar with Sandstorm. Everybody who's watching this is likely familiar with Equinox Gold and the massive wins they've delivered for shareholders. And so, what else are you working on? What should people be paying attention to in your pipeline?
Well, again, our premise is the focus of our business is to work with people who've had repeat success. And so during the last 4 or 5 years, we've been working with successful teams in acquiring projects in areas, in particular in areas that they've got expertise. And so we've got companies that we're involved in West Africa, in Nevada, in Ethiopia, and Peru. Eclipse Gold, for example, is in Nevada. That's a team of Mike Allen, Doug Hurst. They were Daryl Carty. They were Northern Empire before. They sold that to Coeur, and they wanted to do a gain. And so I was able to join that team. In addition, Warwick Board joined the company as VPX. He's another extremely talented individual. He worked at Pretium before that, which is one of the most complex ore bodies you'll ever come across. He's a PhD in geology who is an eternal optimizer. I mean, he's a fantastic mind. And there's a real strong team of geologists surrounding that as well. People who've been around for a long time, that Mike and Warwick and Doug have a long relationship with and have access to. And so it's a really strong, really deep group of people. We've got a large area of land, 90 or 95 square kilometers now, and with some fantastic targets, and we're exploring that ground now, and we think it has potential to be a very significant ore body one day.
Okay. And you know what? I've actually had Mike Allen on the show, and I'm a big fan of that story, not just the jurisdiction, the team, and what else? So I know in the Pathway Capital office right now, you guys are...
So we launched the company, and last month we launched a company, Pucara, which is a company that is focused in Peru. It's run by Steve Zucker. And Steve brought in another superstar geologist, Ken Balaweg, and it's been assisted by Keith Laskowski as well. Steve spent the last 8 years, 9 years putting together projects in Peru, and he's put together a number of really exciting targets, and just listed it in October, and is now drilling the first project, Lourdes, and hopefully we'll have some luck there. But it's a really exciting high sulfidation target. Potential to be something very significant, and they'll follow that up by drilling Pacasca when permits are in hand, which is another exciting high sulfidation and also porphyry target. Okay.
And both are very speculative deals. I mean, we're early stage exploration here, which is great because a lot of the companies that I'm talking to today, we're looking at development, junior producers, a bit more security in the ground. But I like to go as early stage as possible and get in. That's where you find that torque, right? And in addition to all of the risk, if you're looking for it. And so finding those teams that have consistently delivered. And I mean, Pathway is a team that consistently delivers, and you back teams that consistently deliver. The formula works. Now, Marcel, just speaking to our audience right now, we're all looking for our next gold investment. What's some of the most common mistakes that you see gold investors make?
Well, I think chasing stock, buying things on momentum, buying promotes where things aren't as advertised. I think it's really critical that investors look deep into the company. Who are the people? What are their motivations? How successful are they? You want to make sure there's alignment, and you want to make sure that you're working with people who, like you just described, for example, Puka are high risk and Eclipse are higher risk. But if you look at the people involved, they tend to make their deals work regardless of that risk, because they'll bring in more projects. They keep going until that company is ultimately successful. What you don't want to do is invest in a company where they don't have a long-term focus. It's just the people are more aren't long-term mining people, kind of jumping into the sector last minute. And I think what you want to do is keep it simple. Invest in people who've had repeat success. It's not that hard to do. I mean, we've mentioned some of the people, the BDs, Lundin types, and et cetera, the strong Mark O'Day. There's a lot of groups out there that John Robbins, et cetera, and Jim Paterson. There's lots of groups out there that do it over and over again. And I think that's what you want to do, is focus on investing in people that stick with their companies, make them work, and create a lot of value.
Yeah, and do what they say they're going to do. I was talking to Mark O'Day today as well. Okay, and it's so easy right now to get promoted. The deal flow hitting my desk anyways. I mean, it hasn't been this strong since probably 2011. And everything looks amazing, right? When it's put together in a beautiful deck. Every time you write a check, that's money you can't spend, right? And I preach patience all the time. Okay, look, Marcel.
It's a tough game. The odds are heavily against you. I mean, every project that we're involved in, we probably looked at 300 or 400 projects before we settled with that one. I mean, that's the kind of ratio, because finding a mine is a very, very difficult thing to do.
You said 300 or 400 projects.
Yeah. We have tremendous deal flow between all of our relationships. We've got, and also the thing is, when you stay in the business when times are tough, you expand the network, expand the deal flow, because you need to see a lot of things to find things that stand out, that are special, that give you the best risk-reward equation.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome perspective for people to hear, that before you jump into a project, on average, you're looking at 300 to 400. I mean, that's such an important lesson. The next time you see a hot deal come across your desk as an investor, those numbers, that ratio is key. Your comment about the bear market and increasing your network, I appreciate that so much. And I feel like I've been a massive benefactor of that, because I've been in this industry since 2010. So there was a couple great years, and then, sort of 7-8 years of pain, which was probably the best thing that I could have experienced being new to the sector, because anybody who was after a quick buck, an easy buck, they left, right? Anybody who stuck around was there to be productive, right? And roll up their sleeves. And as a result, I was able to sort of graduate my network in a way that I probably wouldn't have been able to in a great market, in a frothy market. And now I'm reaping the benefits of that, which has been fantastic. So people like yourself, Marcel, that's how I got to know people like yourself.
Well, pretty generous, but hey, we're just trying our best. Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, it's been awesome having you on and introducing you to our audience. Like I said, this sector success depends completely on the individuals you surround yourself with. We all talk about betting the jockey. Everybody talks about betting the jockey and betting on the right management team. But, like I say and have said, it's really what you're doing is you're voting on an individual's competency to their judgment making, their ability to surround themselves with other great people. You're betting on them chasing only the best business opportunities, not throwing good money after bad. And you're betting on the resiliency, when plan A fails and plan B fails, will they have the energy and wherewithal to chase down and have a plan C to chase down, right? And that's what it really means to bet the jockey. That's what you're looking for in these individuals, not the fly-by-night CEO. Exactly, to your point earlier, were they in the industry before it was cool, right? When it was tough, did they have their sleeves rolled up, or did they just show up when the easy money arrived? All these things are so vital for retail investors trying to navigate this space, because the rewards can be phenomenal. But it's important to make decisions correctly. Okay, I really appreciate you coming on and introducing you to my audience for anybody who's not familiar. And I encourage people to check out Pathway Capital. Stay up to date with what Marcel's up to. Marcel and his business partner, Dave DeWitt, always producing quality. And I really enjoy catching up with you, Marcel. So appreciate you coming on.
Hey, thanks a lot, Jake. Appreciate your time.